And I will go ahead and do the proxy thing just in case. I mean, that we just had the conversation. That's everything that we have proxy capability. So
but he would need to agree with it, right?
Yeah, he would have to. Yeah,
it would be someone else from the city of Rogers.
Yeah.
In that case, that would
Yeah.
be proxy. Okay.
Yeah. So.
But we don't have any today. But
no.
Okay.
I'll make sure I always send the proxy form out as a reminder. All right.
Okay. All right. Then I'll go ahead and call to order the executive committee meeting today. We do not have any proxies. Zach is unable to attend, but in the future, if any of the 4 cities wish to have a proxy for this meeting, we'll have a form to be sent out.
Yes, sir.
If nobody objects to it, we can go ahead and consider the agenda adopted. We've got 4 items today. The first one up is the BRX changes for 2025 discussion.
Very good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you first what the BRX used to look like. When this was put in place a year or so ago, it was about a year's worth of planning to get to this point, and then of course the implementation. If you look at the way the BRX is going, it is all over the place. 6 buses are doing this job. Each city has an ODT zone with 1 bus in it. If you can imagine going from downtown Butterfly Garden in Rogers over to the general area of the home office at J and 8th Street, that ride right there typically would take about 45 minutes and even close to an hour. The entire route, I believe, was set at an hour and a half in each direction, just because we couldn't use 8th Street. Water Tower Road, which is next to NWAC, was shut down for the better part of a year. So it forced us to put this meandering route along the way. Now that 8th Street is open and Water Tower is open, this is what the primary piece looks like. For you to do the same trip now from downtown Rogers to 8th Street at the corner of 8th and J, it's going to take you about 25 minutes.
Fantastic.
Yeah. What we've done is we originally built it to establish it as a footprint. And now that the roads are open and manageable, we are turning it into what I had originally envisioned it to be. So this particular leg, remember, we've got 6 buses total. So this particular leg is now taking 3 of those 6 buses between the two cities. The next route, which is the Route 12, is a bus on its own. This does not come out of the city's budgets because this is wholly paid for by Walmart as a corporation. It is a public transit route that they say anybody can get on, anybody can go after, but it's got 2 primary points of interest, and that is the old home office area and the whole new home office area. So that one does not count in against our 6. Let's go to the 14. If we take a look at the 14, this was the section that was serving on the old BRX, the Southeast Moberly Way and J Street, along with Northwest Medical Center and the home office. This is a 20-minute loop. I believe we've got it set at 20-minute or 30-minute. 30-minute loop. 30-minute loop. This is a 30-minute loop. So every 30 minutes, whether you're at Sam's Club or whether you're at the Bentonville High School, you're going to see a bus go by to be able to connect you to the primary BRC route, is what we're calling it, instead of BRX. Down to the next one. So this one is, so we've got 3 on BRC. We got 1 on Route 14. We've got 1 on Route 53, and this is a 1-hour headway that meanders through the majority of the city of Rogers. We've got all the housing, we've got emergency medical, we've got the uptown area, which has housing, shopping, dining in it, and it also connects to the BRC to travel east and west between the downtown Rogers and downtown Bentonville. In the past, if you were wanting to get from uptown, which is at the very bottom where all of the entertainment, housing, and dining is, if you wanted to get from there over to downtown city Rogers or downtown city of Bentonville, that would take you, let's see, 30 minutes northbound plus another 25 minutes east or west. So it would take you about an hour to get from one end to the other. Let's go over to the 54. This one is every 15 minutes. Notice that we're using the 15 minutes in each direction, excuse me. We're using the freeway on this one. So if you are not looking to get to any of the housing or the other amenities that are in the city of Rogers, but you need to get up to the BRC to go east or west, it'll be 15 minutes northbound, 30 minutes east or west. So we've taken that hour trip now and knocked it down to 45 minutes. This one has also got one bus on it. So we have 3 buses on BRC. We have one on the 14, one on the 53, and one on the 54. And those are our 6 buses. The 7th bus, of course, is wholly paid for by Walmart as a corporation. This is what the system map looks like now. You've got choices to be able to get from one area to another area. You've got some expediency in like the 54 over the 53, but you also have the ability on the 53 or the 14 to meander through the community. This is what public transit looks like. But it's, like I said, this has been a 2+ year process to get to this point. All of this kicks off on February 3rd, now that the streets are open. Questions about what we've done?
There's still an overlapping OPT zone.
Yes, sir. The ODT zones still do overlap, but we implemented the ride choice on the app itself, so that if you, and this will really come into effect, the ride choice will come into effect now that we've got these routes out here. If you go into the ODT app, it will tell you all the different choices for you to get to where you're going. So it'll say, yes, you've got an ODT and it's going to be 14 minutes away. I did it here in Springdale last week quite a few times, trying to go from the Jones Center even over to Emma Street. And it would tell me I can wait for the 62, I believe it was. It's going to be 11 minutes away. I can wait for the ODT, which is 14 minutes away, or I can go ahead and walk down there, which is 16-minute walk. It gave me all of those choices. Now that we have that that enhancement to the app, the app is going to be further enhanced. We're having our first meeting regarding City Mapper, which is another layer, and the City Mapper will be, if we choose to go for it, which I've already made that choice that we need to go for it, that will also incorporate the bike share, the scooter share, Uber options, and Lyft options. So I sent the email out a week or so ago, who has what kind of bike share, scooter shares, that kind of thing. And if the cities that don't have anything, if you decide to get something on a bike share or a scooter share, we definitely want to be notified of it so that we can connect that share to the City Mapper app so they can grab their data feed. I think this is the best way to put it.
Okay.
So we are and I say this, we are becoming what I had always imagined us to be, and that is all of the options available to somebody who doesn't want to use their vehicle, all in one spot. So it's moving fast, ladies and gentlemen. It really, really is.
Looks like the technology center is the nexus point for all these routes.
Yes, sir. So let's talk with Tim in the room. Tim, this is my diabolical plan for world domination in the city of Bentonville. So we are using that multi-lane east and west area for all of the transfers that are going to go back and forth. You guys as a city are going to hear the screaming and hollering of there's all these buses here all the time on this public road. They're stopped, they're waiting for transfers, that type of stuff. This is where I hope the city leadership will turn around and say, you're absolutely right. We're working with Ozark Regional Transit to build a transfer center.
What
That's
is
fine.
that, Joel, when I was on the board before, there was talk about putting that in, Scott's building, the logistics building parking lot. Where are you thinking about putting that?
So go back to that map, Kendall. So there's a couple of pieces of property that are available for a transfer center that would serve Rogers and Bentonville very well. The first one is here right at the end of St. James Drive. That is technically an undevelopable area because it is a not a washout, retention pond type area. We can do the same type of thing that we've done here, and that is put the retention pond underneath the parking lot. We're not building any real structure on it, except in one area where we would have a customer service desk and a couple of bathrooms. The other area that I would like to see is further to the east. As we see this traffic circle just south of 8th Street in the forest, that entire area is currently undeveloped, but has all of the amenities to it. It's got water, power, cable, sewer, everything. And that would be right off of 8th Street. We would put it on the south side so that everything that comes into it, a little bit further north of that, it would be right in the shadows of the trees. So everything, we would travel all the buses eastbound, pull into a transfer center, pull out eastbound, and use the traffic circle to head westbound if we need to.
Who owns that?
Right now, I believe, not Razorback, excuse me, NWAC owns all the way up to, the nature preserve area, which has got the trees in it. And I don't know who owns, the 50, 60 feet on either side of 8th Street.
Okay.
But that would be my hope, is that we can, get enough, people to be talking about transit, and the city would turn around and say, hey, let's go ahead and start the work on a transit center, which is 3-4 years down the road. But I'm already expecting people to start calling and saying, get these buses off my road. And I hope they do, because that right there shows that we are, number one, moving people, number two, impacting people, and number three, people want another option for us.
Hey, Joel, what were the, running back through your list of all these new bus routes, what were the headways on all the routes? So the 490, what's the headway on that?
490 still goes at 2-hour headway, but it only operates 3 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the afternoon.
All right, and the 12?
The BRC, the first one that comes in, the headway is 30 minutes. And then in some points, it's broken into a 1 hour. There's a couple hours throughout the day where it's broken into a 1 hour headway, eastbound or westbound, because we really need a fourth bus on that one to make it 30 minutes in either direction. The 12 is 20 minutes. Yeah, it's 20 minutes. I'm just looking at my maps right now. The 14 is 30 minutes. The 53 is a 1 hour headway. And the 54 is a 30-minute headway.
It's pretty good.
Yes, sir. And we've all done that within budget. All of these changes are being made within the existing budget.
That's great. And how many buses are on that Route 12?
Route 12 has got one bus, and Route 12 again is one that's fully paid for by Walmart.
Okay, and so it's able to make that run 3 times in an hour.
Yes, sir. We send them in one direction or the other. We send them an invoice about the 10th of each month for the previous month's operating hours.
You see that going away in a year when everything's moved over?
No, sir. We're actually, the last conversation I had with them was as soon as they see the need, because right now, if you can look at the hours of operation up here, it's 7:30 to 5:30. Everything else is 6:30 to 6:30. They've already talked about, as soon as they see the need for people to want to start it at 6:30 and end it at 6:30, they'll go ahead and, authorize that increase in service. They also asked what other areas they could invest in more transit for the community. And I said, if you really want to do it, we would definitely benefit from a second ODT in each city. So that way, the wait on ODT in Rogers and Bentonville and the denials on ODT in Rogers and Bentonville aren't so high.
I'm assuming Walmart's gonna advertise that route heavily.
Oh, they've been internally, I call it the Build a Better Employee app or group. They have a group that does absolutely nothing but focuses on amenities for the employees. For example, up in Bentonville, Tim, I don't know if you know this or not, they have what's called the White Bike Program. I think that's the name that it is. But it's only accessible to Walmart employees that have the app. So I contacted the group that I work with and said, hey, do you want us to put that app on our City Mapper program? And at first they were all excited about it. And then I said, by the way, when you do that, every average Joe is going to be able to see it. Well, they want to keep that app specifically, or that bicycle share thing specifically for Walmart employees. So it will not be on the City Mapper app. But they have some very specific things that they're doing for their employees. And that's one of the things that actually helped develop that Route 12, because they could see where employees were going based off of the bicycle usage, how long the bicycle was being used, where it was going, where it was dropped off, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Did I answer your questions, Peter?
Yeah, no, it's,
Beautiful.
looks great. Looks great. Good work.
All right. Anything else on that one?
Nope.
I'm gonna move over to the Razorback Transit Pay Scale. I bring this to your attention because so I got a call from Adam on the 2nd of January and said, hey, we got our new pay scale authorized, and it goes into effect January 1st of 2025. Basically what they're doing is they're starting out their non-CDL drivers at $21 an hour, and they're starting out their CDL drivers at $23 an hour. They're doing this, their funding is coming from the college itself to go ahead and do this. They did I knew they were doing a pay scale study somewhere around, I'm gonna say August, September of last year. And he wasn't going to know anything until the new year. One of the concerns that I have is competitively, where our starting rate compared to theirs right now for non-CDL is $15.50, they're at 21. Our CDL is $17.50, they're at 23. And then you see their jumps. So if I'm a CDL carrier starting today, I'm starting out at $23 an hour. In 2 years, I go to $24 an hour. And in 3 years, I go to $25 an hour. We're not anywhere there. My concern is that when this actually gets highly publicized, I could probably identify 3 or 4 people in our work group that would go. Some of our people are paycheck driven. Not benefits, not work environment, they are paycheck driven. And when we're advertising and marketing, we're advertising and marketing everything for hire, except for, I mean, we do tell people what they're going to make, but that's not one of the focuses. We talk about the retirement, we talk about the benefits, we talk about the work environment, we talk about the cleanliness of our vehicles, we talk about the fact that we have road supervisors and security that helps them do their job to the best of their ability. We talk about the flexibility of our schedules, and then we'll say, oh, by the way, you're going to make $17.50 an hour to start out with. And they can go in at $23 an hour over at Razorback. So it is I thought we were making headway with the APERS. And then of course with this pay study implementation, that kind of sets us back a little bit. I don't know how we can come up and match that. I don't know that we'll ever be able to match that, but I'd like us to find a way to get closer than $4.50 an hour gap.
What would it take to
Well-
match that?
Well, did you tell me when we met Joel, I mean with the mayor after this, so to match that, just initially, each city would have to pony up 100 grand, or there's two options, each city pony up 100 grand, or two, cut services.
Yes, and keep the money the same. So for example, right now, easy math. $600,000, one of the cities is putting in close to $600,000, and has, let's say, 15,000 hours of service. It would be one or two things capable of us getting close to this. One would be, all right, we got to put in, basically for every 20,000 hours, we put in a dollar. So for us to get to $100,000, we got to put in $5 an hour, or we reduce it by the number of hours that $100,000 would take us. So the city's getting, instead of $600,000 worth of service for $600,000, they're either going to get $500,000 worth of service for $600,000, or $600,000 worth of service for $700,000, if that all makes sense. I mean, I've kicked myself around trying to figure out what the best approach on this is going to be. And hats off to frickin' Adam. I mean, I'm telling you, he busted his ass to get this done. Because over at the university, bus drivers are considered, I won't say they're considered second-rate children, but they are the little adopted child that nobody really has a classification for. And he was able to fight, and I know this fight took him a year or more to get this study done and to get it implemented, and he did a damn good job. He thought I was going to be pissed at him. I'm like, no. I'm very proud of you for being able to do this. So, yeah.
Yeah, if we want to be competitive and have continuity of drivers, and like you and I talked about, that know the routes, even when someone's out sick or things that we don't want, turnover is just not a good thing. And I'm with you, Joel. I don't begrudge anyone, at least for Razorback. I mean,
No.
for that salary difference.
Yeah, he did a damn good job fighting for his men and women, and my hat's off to him for that one. So,
Good for him.
yeah.
Joel, how many,
Sorry, go ahead, Peter.
I was gonna, just curious, how many, driver position, vacancies or openings you have right now?
Oh, you're gonna give me Lyman and Bobby's out, but yeah, it's 12 or 20%. And that just gets us back to where we're not burning overtime. And as we talk about growth and development, I've got a blue sky plan that I've started to put together, and I will share with you guys come the board meeting, because hopefully I'll have everything done by then. But the blue sky plan is one of those $31 million blue skies with 197 drivers or 194 drivers. On the low end, making our cities look like what we're starting to build in Rogers and Bentonville. We need 119 drivers, I think it is. And again, we're only at 47 right now. I think we need 59 or 60 drivers. to have everybody at a 40-hour work week.
That's a full.
Yeah, that's full load right now in today's picture.
Does Razorback Transit have the same benefits like the APERS or anything like
They got
that?
better.
Got
Well,
better.
they don't have APERS.
They've got the college retirement. If you're full-time, if you're not part-time, you don't get the retirement. You get the, they got a very good medical program, but they've got the 50% off all tuition thing that they pitch out to people, and that's a huge attractor. We've lost over the years, I will say a half a dozen or more drivers to that, because our drivers got to the age where they had college kids and they were like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take that 50% off my college tuition. So
What's
and I
APERS?
said, that's, I mean, that to me is like, oh, that's a huge one right there.
Oh, yeah. What does APERS stand for?
Arkansas Public Employee Retirement System. So we are all but named in it, and Steve Unger is getting our name in it during this legislative session. So
Good. Has that caused anyone to reconsider moving or switching?
people are excited about it.
Good.
They really are excited about it.
Good.
Especially the fact that we've got people that are already saying, hey, yeah, I can put in another 10 years. And oh, by the way, I was in, and APERS allows certain things to transfer over to it. So I've got one guy, he was a school teacher, bus driver, something like that in Gentry or something for, 12, 15 years. And once we get our name on the list, which hopefully will happen within the next couple of weeks, he's going to be able to take all those 15 years worth, move it over to ours, and where we're all starting on at year 1, he's working on year 16. So
Is that like a 403B, or what is that?
Can you talk intelligently?
It's not,
I will say
If you don't know, I don't want to get hung up in the weeds. If you don't know,
retirement system, so it doesn't fall under any of the
It's a
IRS, like,
public retirement pension.
yeah, it's like a pension essentially, like a public
Not bad.
retirement pension. So
Okay.
like, depending on how many years and what rate you put in, you're guaranteed a certain amount when you retire.
until you're dead.
okay, thank you.
So I wanted to share this with you guys, just because this is a monumental task. Planning transit, doing transit, finding buses, providing grants or going after grants. Those are big jobs. This is a monumental task right here to try to play, and I hate to say play catch up, or, what was the old thing? Keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah, this is, I don't know that we will ever get to the 21-23 split, but it'd sure be nice to get within a buck.
Well, let's stay on this topic for a little bit. What's your pie in the sky timeline? What in your bottom timeline? And do all cities have to agree at the same time?
I think all cities would have to agree at the same time, number one. I'll work backwards. Because it would just be, it'd be freaking horrible to see 2 of the cities say, yes, we're gonna go ahead and support a salary increase, and 2 of them don't, and all of a sudden we're having to renegotiate service hours in other cities. And based off of, I think her name's Stacy's report was yesterday at the policy committee meeting, transit need has gone up, or transit interest has gone up from 71% to like 84%. People are wanting it, people are seeing it, people are using it, people are needing it. And for us to take a step back on it because we can't field the buses for the routes that we have. Our timeline on need, Tim, will really be based off of how many people are leaving. I would like to see this be a damn it, we need to do it now kind of mentality. And it's got to be in perpetuality. It's not $100,000 this year and everything's wonderful. It's got to be year after year.
Yeah.
this change, is implemented. But we're really gonna see the hurt when this becomes public and some of our younger drivers, go, well, hey, I can go make $4.50 more an hour. I do not begrudge them at all.
Well, I'm gonna bring this up at 11, but then Tuesday night is, I'm sure I can get an audience. That's the finance committee before the city council meeting. We'll see if I can add their ear for 10 minutes
Outstanding.
for
Outstanding.
Bentonville. Okay,
Thank you.
sure.
What are the next steps for this? Is this something we bring up in the February board meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I just wanted you guys to be, get the heads up. You're the key, you are the key, to the rest of the board. And I just want to make sure that, everybody here got the heads up that this is going to be a conversation, piece, because I never want anything to surprise anybody.
Right.
Like I say, hats off to Adam. Damn good job. So. Any other comments on that? And by the way, this is public knowledge now. Adam did not want to give it to me until it was, publicly posted. This is publicly posted now. Okay, so, you guys have been asking me what, shelter purchases look like, coming down the pipeline. Individually, I've been inquired by, the different cities. So we finally got, the new guy from Brasco. There's, this is 6 pages, Kendall. One of them, I mean, the first page on each of them is the only one that really means anything right now. So I asked them to take a look at what we currently have as shelters. The last time we purchased, I believe, was 2017. And we bought 10 of them. They were around $5,600 a piece. Since 2017 till now, they've gone from 5,600 to 8,100. We buy them in bulk. 20 shelters at a time or 30 shelters at a time. How do you want me to approach this? Because I can go after a couple of different grant line items through the FTA that supports shelter enhancement, improvement, and everything else. But I don't like just going after shelters. We're already doing the AOPP plan through the one that areas of persistent poverty. We've gone through that study. We've now got Olson that's working on the next layer of that. The Olson's working on the layer of improvement in the city of Fayetteville along the 71 corridor. I can see us really needing the 20 to 30 shelters in all the different cities. And if I go after a 5339 or I go after a bus amenity improvement or enhancement grant, there's about 3 of them out there that I can actually go after to get the bulk of this money, 80% of it. But I don't know that I just want to stop it at shelters. Ball parking concrete, ball parking lighting, ball parking benches. We're talking about a 200,000 to 300,000, and I'll go high and say 250,000 to $350,000 grant, but the feds will only support 80% of that. For the other 20%, do I look to the 4 different cities with nobody owning a shelter? Because the one thing I don't want to get into is, I put 25% in and I only get 2 out of the 20 shelters that are here. Well, that's all you have availability for right now. Or should I go after the Walton Family Foundation for the 20%? That way there's no ownership or a sibling rivalry over what our money went into. Does any of that make sense?
What do you mean by ownership?
Well,
Can you-
so somebody in the city, and I'll just pick on Springdale because we're here. Somebody in the city of Springdale City Council is gonna say, we gave you our 25% share of $20,000. That means if you bought 20 shelters, we should own 5 of them.
Got it.
But Springdale only has a position for 4 because Fayetteville has a position for 6. Why are you putting my shelter in Fayetteville? It's not your shelter, Springdale, and it's not your shelter, Fayetteville. It is our shelter as a transit system serving Northwest Arkansas.
I would initially say go after the Walton Family Foundation, but thoughts, I'm not the only person that should talk here.
That would be my go-to, but we also get hundreds of thousands of dollars from them every year
Right,
to help supplement our budget. So.
Right.
We
right.
just need to turn that down and say, well, we do give you
Yeah.
money. I don't know. You might have a better feel for how they may respond,
Do you guys believe that my concern about the sibling rivalry and the ownership over shelters would be a reality, or would that be something that everybody goes, oh yeah, it's a shelter and it's in Rogers and we only have 4 of them in Fayetteville?
So would your request for a local match be proportionate to the amount of shelters that would be in each city? So one city's local match is not equal to another's?
For me to do that, that means I would have to go ahead and project out what that split and share would be, and then reserve a shelter sitting in the back for that split and share. I'd have 4 different stacks, and all of a sudden, we realized that, Jones Center, they're gonna do something wonderful there, and they need 2 shelters, one on the north and one on the south, and the Springdale stack is empty.
Okay.
I will tell you this, without naming names, the people I know on Bentonville City Council, they will have an issue with that. I'm not saying right or wrong. I just know, Joel, who I'm talking about.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I can
Joel,
see
what's the
similar-
typical turnaround time between when you buy a shelter and deploy it out on the street?
Just to get it in town is 30 weeks.
30
Okay.
weeks. Okay.
And then the deployment usually stacks up, because like right now, we've had a lot of conversation about where shelters need to go. And I think the only one, I've been sitting on these 4 shelters for better part of a year. And the only one that's getting deployed is the one down at Genesis Church in Fayetteville, as soon as we get the bolt anchors in. That's the only one right now, because the plans for Springdale, went over those plans with Olson on the AOPP. How long is it gonna take them to redo the work in Springdale or in Fayetteville or in Rogers? I've only got now 3 shelters that are deployable, and we've had conversations about every town, but those 4 right out there are first come, first served, and the first one's going down in Fayetteville at Genesis Church.
Who does whose responsibility is the Joel, what's the construction term? I'm looking, who does the pad and who prepares the site?
I want the cities to prepare the site.
That's what I thought.
And I want the cities to prepare the site when other work is going on. Because I do not like the idea of going in, setting a pad, knowing that in a year, that entire street sidewalk's gonna be torn up anyways, and now we've just pissed away $3,000 on concrete grading and everything else, because it's being done in a year and a half. Anyway, I want it to be part of, if you're doing the 8th Street widening, I want it to be part of the 8th Street widening, or the 8th Street narrowing, or whatever.
Well, follow-up question, and you probably know the answer to this, or you probably would have informed me already. I know you, Joel. I'm surprised that, did you recently put any in for the Walmart HO to HO corridor? Have they, okay, well, that's probably gonna come up Tuesday when I meet with them. I can't believe they haven't reached, and hey, I'm barely a couple months new into this. I can't believe we didn't reach out to you.
Right.
So
if you go up and down the 8th Street corridor right now, you'll see some A-frames that say bus stop coming soon. Those are where we're hoping to put a bus stop. But if you've been up and down that 8th Street corridor, it is a concrete jungle.
Yes.
So there's a real cool place to put a traditional bus stop. So we're going to have to do something special in that area with, concrete, with the bus stop sign boots that are bolted to the concrete pad, or hang a shingle off of the side of one of the buildings, or just put in, instead of shelters, we put in just some type of bench, because the whole thing up there is, as soon as we put a shelter in on 8th Street, we're gonna restrict the sidewalk.
Yeah. And if they would want to hang, for beautification or congruency, whatever word I'm looking for, Walmart or the city of Bentonville would have to pay for that building
Yeah.
hanging sign.
Yes.
Peter, I don't mean to be monopolizing this conversation. Sorry if you want to jump in.
No, I mean, to me, it sounds like, Joel, the process is maintain a adequate stockpile or supply of bus shelters so that you are able to be responsive when cities are doing various public work projects and want to include a bus stop in those projects. I mean, I just have a hard time believing our council is going to get sideways on shelter, where shelters are going. As long as they're seeing shelters going in our community at the appropriate time and with the appropriate coordination, I think that's what's most important. And if there's if it's a little bit out of balance in real time, but over time there is equitable distribution, then I don't see folks in Fayetteville getting too wrapped around the axle on this.
So Mindy is brilliant as always, and as
course.
shy as she didn't want to bring it up.
Only came up was wrong.
So the one thing that I do forget periodically is in kind. So if we set a mark for, so let's see right now, let's look at the 20 quantity. We set a mark at 81.75 per shelter to have them shipped out, or to have them shipped out here. So we're getting ready to spend $180,000. But we establish the install as another $2,000 on top of that ish. So it's 10,175. Now we're over that 20% match. And the in-kind is the city establishing the pad, the sidewalk, and the connectivity for that $2,000. So now we can turn around and we can go after that 5339 grant. We can go after that other grant, and I would go after that $180,000 flat, get the 20 shelters in, and we would attest to the fact that the 20% match is through the in-kind work done by the cities to put the concrete in.
Do we need to itemize that?
Hmm?
Do we need to itemize that?
I would have to itemize it at the beginning of the grant.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So.
And then,
Does
do we
your
need-
cost include storage of these? Nothing's free, Joel. What, until they're put in?
You've done it before, but it's been a while.
The storage, I mean, I've got them sitting out here with a tarp over the unbuilt ones when I have unbuilt ones here. The built ones just sit out in the sun because they're all in one piece and ready to rock and roll. So,
Hey, would you mind, whoever's scrolling through these, would you mind sending me these pictures? I've only been on 8th Street yesterday, so I wasn't actually looking for these easels or A-frames, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
I need these for my meeting on Tuesday.
Sure will.
Thank you.
This one right here, Tim, so that you know, that's not a permanent display. We just got the 4th A-frame in this morning, so that'll be swapped out by Friday with the actual A-frame.
Well,
Yeah.
I hope people do start circling back to the beginning of the conversation. I hope people do start complaining about the buses. That means they're being used.
Rogers.
Yeah, so like 2 of the shelters that are out there are gonna end up going to Rogers because it looks like they've got their concrete poured.
There's only one left.
So that means I've only got one left after the next couple of weeks.
All right. So I know.
But yes, we should be. We'll look back at what, the need is for in-kind, and if it's a letter from each of the cities that says that we are providing the in-kind, concrete for this, that, and everything else, and it's valued at X amount of money for shelter. It doesn't have to be exact, it just has to be able to total up to at least 20%.
I think our leadership would be much more interested in that because it's infrastructure improvements that we can see the direct result of.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cause like, I mean, that concrete pad right there, I don't know, let's pretend that's $2,000. And then we were just talking with Olson on, I think it's Park Street in front of the senior center. We're talking about that one, last week or so. That's gonna have to be covering up a ditch. So that we can put a shelter on it because it's got that big culvert or ditch, whatever, right there. And with guardrails and everything else on it, so people can get back and forth from one side, from street side to back of curbside. That could potentially be a $10,000 fix to get that shelter put in place.
Right.
So they're not all equal. All right, that's the avenue we're gonna go. I'm glad I was able to talk it out. Because I totally forgot about, and Mindy Shyness, totally forgot about the in portion,
That's good.
so. And then, what I'll do is I'm gonna go ahead and go after, it's probably smart to go after the 30. Because if it takes 30 weeks to get them in, and we realize in, 6, 8 months, we need another 3 or 4, it's gonna be another 30 weeks to get them in.
Mhm.
So. All right. Let's see, bus shelter purchase, executive director evaluation timeline discussion. I'll turn that over to you, sir.
Okay, so it's about that time of year again that we do Joel's executive director evaluation. We've done this 2 years now, I think, and we go over them in the March executive committee meeting. With that, it means we need to get our evaluations done before then. Looking over last year's schedule, it looks like I gave it to Joel at the end of February, and then he was done first Friday in March. And let's see, for this year, I believe that would be March 7th is the deadline for Joel to complete his self-evaluation. And then after that, I send it out to the executive committee members and we do our board evaluation. So that would give us about 2 weeks from the 7th to the 21st to do our evaluation. By the 21st deadline, Joel has all of our evaluations to put on the agenda, and then we meet that next week. I will send out an email to everyone at the end of February.
Very good, sir.
So I just wanted to discuss it and let everyone know to expect that in the next executive committee
Very good.
session.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Got nothing else.
Does anyone else have anything they want to discuss?
I do not.
Okay, with that, I'll hereby adjourn the meeting.
Beautiful.
Thank
you.
Thank you very much.